Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. Attorney John Deaton has highlighted comments from a former SEC commissioner which absolutely destroys the SEC's case against Ripple and XRP holders. And so let me just make this clear from the outset. The argument that I'm making to you right now is that the charges against Ripple and the claims about XRP are so obviously untrue that it would be impossible for any unbiased observer of the facts, including the judge, to come to any conclusion other than the SEC employees that filed the case against Ripple are absolute liars. Their claims are so far outside of reality that any sane person can come to no other conclusion. The SEC case is absolutely destroyed and has been destroyed by the SEC itself. And you'll see what I'm talking about as I go through this. I don't believe it's possible that the judge, there's not a 100% chance, obviously, like weird things can happen, but outside of some weird incident, I can't imagine a reality where XRP doesn't come out better on the other side of this thing. But I do want to be clear at the outset, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And so these comments are coming from attorney John Deaton, and he, you'll see as he goes through, I like the theme, I like the way that he laid this out. It's very powerful, but he keeps using the word imagine. And you'll see, and so I wanted to mention this. As we go through this, he says imagine because it sounds like so crazy that something like this perhaps could happen, but what he's saying to imagine, it did happen. Check this out. Imagine a well-respected former SEC commissioner who acted as a liaison between the SEC and Ether investors. Imagine the commissioner being instrumental with Ether investors communicating with the SEC, helping it to understand the underlying blockchain technology and network. Imagine this former SEC commissioner becoming very familiar with the Ether token and network. Imagine the assistance provided by this former SEC commissioner and securities law expert and Stanford law professor, helped in part lead Hinman to give his Ether free pass speech. Imagine 18 months later, this former SEC commissioner learns his colleague, Jay Clayton, is contemplating filing an enforcement action against Ripple and XRP as Clayton and other senior officials are leaving the SEC forever. Imagine, he learns the SEC intends to claim present-day XRP is an unregistered security, although it was traded openly for more than 7 years. Imagine the securities expert becoming confused and dumbfounded as to why the SEC leadership was rushing to file a lawsuit versus XRP. Imagine this SEC expert being so troubled by what he was witnessing, he felt compelled to write a letter to Clayton and the other commissioners warning and pleading with them to not file a case under such befuddling and suspicious circumstances. Imagine he writes the following, and this is a quote. So mind you, when he says imagine, he writes, this did happen, this was written, by a well-respected former SEC commissioner. The proceedings implicate a broad range of policy concerns with significant consequences for the nation's financial and securities markets. Those proceedings can have significant effects on the evolution of emerging technologies involving novel forms of financial transactions, as well as for banking, money transfer, and other markets far beyond the Commission's legal remit. The implications are international. Let me just pause there. So this SEC commissioner, yes, absolutely, sounding alarm bells saying that it doesn't make sense to go after XRP and Ripple like this. It doesn't make sense. And not only does it not make sense, you could be harming, very, as he wrote here, the evolution of emerging technologies. Yeah. because it's so absolutely true. Like if things don't go well for Ripple and XRP in this case, like the consequences will be very severe. I mean, forget crypto in the United States. Just forget it. Maybe Bitcoin's fine, maybe, but just forget crypto. It's done. It's done in the United States. Like that's how big. I'm not. And look, that's not hyperbole. I'm telling you, that's what. Because what cryptocurrency would not be a security? And then you can think about what it means, just for the legacy financial system. It just it persists. Nothing changed. We don't get the evolution of that comes with all the benefits that come with decentralized cryptocurrencies, because it's not the case that every single cryptocurrency is even trying to replace money. So if you're the government, you're worried about that. Understand, in the plumbing, things can be done to increase efficiencies and reduce costs, and that's all just gone in the United States. Then it just doesn't make any damn sense. And so these asshats, on their way out the door, they're like, oh yeah, let's just burn it all down. That's exactly what they did. Here's another quote. This is from John Deaton, sharing this from the SEC, a former SEC commissioner. No pressing reason compels immediate enforcement action. The contemplated enforcement proceedings alleges no fraud, misrepresentation, or omission, but simply initiating the action will impose substantial harm on innocent holders of XRP regardless of the ultimate resolution. Upon learning of the proceeding, intermediaries will cease transacting in XRP because of the associated legal risks. And it's like, again, Jay Clayton and his cronies out there at the SEC, they all knew that this would harm investors, which they're sworn to protect. They knew it would harm us. Didn't care. These are terrible people. Absolutely horrendous, terrible, disgusting, despicable people, causing multi-billion-dollar harm to regular people out there. And globally, yeah, and actually not even just in the United States, the global price of XRP tanked. People had serious money in there. In some cases, entire life savings invested in XRP. It's hard to do justice the harm that the SEC has caused against investors. It's really hard to do it justice here. I'm always trying, but it's very difficult because it's that severe and it's that mind-blowing that an agency like this could just be so terrible and just outright, because look, incompetence is one thing. This is venomous. Like they knew what they were doing. They just didn't care, I think this is beyond incompetence, right? John Deaton continues. Imagine this SEC and securities expert warning that he could find no other non-fraud securities case in United States history that would rival the devastation to innocent holders than the filing of this case. Imagine this SEC expert who understood the Ether network because he helped Ether investors communicate it to the SEC, stating that it was fundamentally unfair for the SEC to claim XRP is a security while leaving Ether alone. Imagine this SEC and Ether expert informing Clayton and the commissioners that the SEC had not made any material distinction between Ether and XRP. Imagine this SEC and securities law expert feeling so strongly about what he was witnessing that he actually wrote the following. Imposing securities law obligations on XRP while leaving Ether untouched raises fundamental fairness about the exercise of commission discretion. So look, folks, it's not just we here in the XRP community that think that there's something shady going on here. And I'm not I'm certainly not a conspiracy theory type of guy. I think for most oddities in life, there's typically a rational explanation, even if we don't understand it. Not that there can't be conspiracies, but that's where my brain goes to start. Is there's probably some sort of logical reason I'm currently unaware of. That's just how I operate. But it's very clear. Like, we're not a bunch of crazy people in the XRP community with the tens of thousands of individuals that are now John Deaton now represents. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 65,000 people. Like, it's simply not the case that it's just some people on the internet getting fussy. This is a former SEC commissioner who would vote on whether or not to bring, when he was at the SEC, vote on whether or not to bring legal complaints against individuals and entities, business entities. who's saying he's basically saying this is not an equal distribution of justice if you go forward like this. And they did go forward with it. This is not an equal distribution of justice. They didn't care. They just don't care. It's not just us in here in the community that recognizes stuff. John Deaton continues, and here's the quote. If the commission is to maintain its tradition of fairness, Ether and XRP should be treated similarly. If Ether is to be allowed to trade freely in the market, so too must XRP. And if XRP is to be subject to restrictions, so too should Ether. Any other result creates a competitive imbalance that cannot be rationalized with reference to fair enforcement of the federal securities laws. Yes, exactly. And that's why I started out the video by stating what I think is just obviously reality. Any unbiased person looking at the facts and circumstances surrounding this case and understanding how Bitcoin and Ether have been charted will come to the conclusion, they'll come to the conclusion that what is going on here with the SEC going after Ripple and XRP holders, this is not justice. It is completely irrational. It's an attack. It's an outright attack. John continues, if you can imagine 5 pages of commentary and analysis consistent with the above, you can imagine the Grundfest letter addressed to Clayton, Hester Peirce, Allison Heron-Lee, Carolyn A. Crenshaw, and Elad Roisman, and copied to senior leadership at multiple divisions of the SEC. And so he's referencing here the Imagine an SEC commissioner. He's talking about Joseph Grundfest here, former SEC commissioner. And then John wraps up by stating, that just started autoplay. I scrolled down and a video thanks Twitter for doing that. I really super duper appreciate that. John Deaton wraps up by stating, the Grundfest letter was written on December 17th, 2020. But what about today, a year later? How does he view the lawsuit? And then there's this clip that started autoplaying because Twitter could suck it. There's 2 former SEC commissioners. I can't remember the gentleman's name in the top left of the screen here, but on the right, that's Joseph Grundfest. And they're sitting there talking. The clip goes on for about a minute, and a big chunk of what they're talking about is how absurd it is how the SEC is treating XRP and Ether so differently. And so the commissioner, again, I forget his name, the one on the left, he said something along the lines of, trying to figure out what the SEC is doing, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but it hurts the brain. And then Joseph Grundfest comes in and he says, another way to categorize it would be to call it arbitrary and capricious. Again, folks, it could not be more clear. So I look at the facts that are known to the public today surrounding this case and all the research that the community's done, everything that John Deaton has done, everything that's been uncovered, everybody. And I sit here thinking, knowing all of this stuff, I can't fathom a world where the judge, being unbiased, I can't imagine a world where the judge comes to a conclusion different than what the rest of us have come to. Because I'm telling you, the only people that even claim to believe what the SEC attorneys are claiming here, it's just the SEC attorneys. There's nobody else on the planet. It's just them. And it's not even everybody at the SEC. In fact, there's Elad Roisman and Hester Peirce who are very clearly not in line with this type of thinking, at least. Even if they're not specifically talking about what's going on with XRP, it's very clear they're not in line with this. And then if you look at former directors and SEC officials, almost all of them are saying the same stuff we're saying. How could the judge not come to this conclusion? And so then you look at how suppressed the price of XRP is, and as horrible as this has been, and how it's really genuinely hurt people, and it's angered all of us in the community also. Despite all of this, this is why I'm so hopeful for the future, because if justice is done, and I believe that it will be, XRP is going to have its day. XRP price suppressed right now, it's not going to stay like that. That's my bet. But I'll go ahead and wrap up here. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.